Hello, hello. It's me. Yay. I'm supposed to share this with people. A reading of God, Emperor Trump. Perfect. Okay. Now, to get started, I made a presentation for today's reading of God, Emperor Trump. Since I know how to share screens now, do that. It's gonna be great. It's gonna work. Why can't this one be in the other window? You know what? Hold on. This is not working for me. We're moving this. I am swapping between monitors. I am not a real streamer. Now, yet, I believe my calling is to become a professional BuzzFeed quiz streamer. So anyways, that didn't work. But we're going to start. We're going to start with this reading of God, Emperor Trump. Wow. A recap. So here's a recap of this presentation. I don't know. I'm not paying attention, honestly, as it's hard to do a dramatic reading while exercising your reading comprehension skills. So, do I know what's happening in this book? No, not really. I know the woke smoke is an evil guy, and there's some racism against Asians in this book, and I'm Greba, and James Trump is a spy. That's, I think, all you need to know. But I don't really think any of you care, so whatever. Now, more importantly, here is a recap on me. Now, yesterday, I recorded a song that I wrote the lyrics for last year, and I dabbled in a variety of instrumentals. I wrote this during my They Might Be Giants phase. You see, I listened to They Might Be Giants like nonstop April of last year, and then like not at all after that. So, but they did make my top 5 on my Spotify recap. It was kind of surprising because it was really just that 4 weeks. So since then, there's been several instrument swaps and guitar solo rewritings as late as today. It should be done, just need to do some mixing and mastering. Now, okay, another thing that I did, I called an interview for a job at a fashion line today, and the boss lady said she must be in LA until the election because her other employees don't feel like going to the office. Now, she also said she gave one of her employees a month-long vacation, so I think this should be a pretty flexible position. And I hope I can get it because then I can do like 8 different tasks at once because it's too small for me to only be committed to one task. She also called me a love bug, which I think is a good sign that she still likes me. She wants to meet in person, but not until November because she has to be in Los Angeles, where I've never been. Today, somebody contacted me to model for their fashion line, and they offered me trade for print or a paid shoot. So obviously, I was like, I prefer paid because money for labor is better than no money for labor. And she asked what I charged, and I said $25 an hour because I don't actually charge a set rate because I just sort of dabble in modeling. And she has not responded, which I hope doesn't mean no, because like the last shoot I did, the guy paid me $100 an hour, and $25 is much less than $100. But I'm not going to tell her that, and maybe she won't see this because she doesn't follow me on Instagram, and I'm not advertising this on Instagram, so I doubt she's paying attention. Finally, Giuseppe Andrews is my new senpai. You can see him pictured on the right. However, I cannot consume his content because the Internet Archive has been down for a while. It's still in a coma. I watched Giuseppe Makes a Movie, the documentary, after having only seen, I think, Pregnant with a Swastika by him, and I didn't think that was a very good movie, but just his story was intriguing to me, so I watched it, and I plan on watching all of his more acclaimed films once I have access to Internet Archive. Trailer Town is on YouTube, so I'll probably watch that tomorrow. I decided to watch a bunch of 90s boob movies today while working. But yeah. So anyways, if one of you could tell the Internet Archive to knock that off for me and bring itself out of a coma, I would be grateful. You can see this picture of me. That was a selfie I took at the Weezer concert when they were about to leave the stage because it was bright, and I wanted to capture how happy I looked after listening to Weezer in person for hours on end. Now it's time to read. Please forgive me if something racist comes up. I did not write this, and I will probably laugh. I don't like this slideshow thing because I can't read what y'all are saying. So we're just doing this not in full screen. Do I have a twin sister? I could have sworn there was a girl who looked just like you who did a stream yesterday. Do I have 3,000 celebrity lookalikes? Sure, but I don't have a twin sister. For today's stream, we are drinking this winter ale because they didn't have pumpkin ale at Trader Joe's, and what ale is American? It's Fremont brand, and Fremont it's the land of the free. America God Emperor. I guess we won't be free if we had a God Emperor. I'm thinking too much. Shh. Sponsored. Man, I got 200 subscribers. I ain't sponsored by nobody. Anyway, time to read. This is our first picture of our beautiful God Emperor Trump. And so it begins. Not as good as the pumpkin ale I was hoping for, but whatever. America! With the first coming of light, Eltham, James, and I tested the electrical contrivances from every point. They were in perfect order. It became more and more incomprehensible how anyone could have entered and quitted Redmoat during the night. The barbed wire fencing was intact, and bore no signs of having been tampered with. James and I undertook an exhaustive examination of the shrubbery. At the spot where we had found the dog, some 5 paces to the west of the Copper Beach, the grass and weeds were trampled, and the surrounding laurels and rhododendrons bore evidence of a struggle, but no human footprint could be found. The ground is dry, said James. We cannot expect much. In my opinion, I said, someone tried to get at Caesar. His presence is dangerous, and in his rage, he broke loose. I think so, too, agreed James. But why did this person make for here, and how, having mastered the dog, get out of Redmoat? I am open to admit the possibility of someone's getting in during the day whilst the gates are open and hiding until dusk. But how in the name of all that's wonderful does he get out? He must possess the attributes of a bird. Do you possess the attributes of a bird? Ooh, can I make a poll for my one viewer? I'm gonna make a poll. Do you possess the attributes of a bird? Yes or no? Get your answers in, guys. This is important. I thought of Greba Eltham's statements. Reminding my friend of her description of the thing which he had seen passing into this strangely haunted shrubbery. You waddle like a bird. Can you fly? That line of speculation soon takes us out of our depth, Petrie, he said. Let us stick to what we can understand, and that may help us to a clearer idea of what, at present, is incomprehensible. My view of the case to date stands thus. Eltham, having rashly decided to return to the interior of China, is warned by an official whose friendship he has won in some way to stay in Florida. I know this official for one of the woke group represented in Florida by Dr. Woke Must Smoke. Several attempts of which we know but little to get at Eltham are frustrated, presumably by his curious defenses. An attempt in a train fails owing to Miss Eltham's distaste for refreshment room coffee. An attempt here fails owing to her insomnia. You don't have a license, so no flying for you. But if you're a bird, do birds need licenses? I haven't heard this lore, but I'm not a bird. I'm just a fairy. During Eltham's absence from Redmoat, certain preparations are made for his return. These lead to A. The death of Denby's collie. B. The things heard and seen by Miss Eltham. And C. The things heard and seen by us all last night. So that the clearing up of my fourth point, i.e., the discovery of the nature of these preparations, becomes our immediate concern. The prime object of these preparations, Petrie, was to enable someone to gain access to Eltham's room. The other events are incidental. The dogs had to be got rid of, for instance, and there is no doubt that Miss Eltham's wakefulness saved her father a second time. But from what? For heaven's sake, from what? James glanced about into the light-patched shadows. From a visit by someone, perhaps by Woke Must Smoke himself, he said in a hushed voice. The object of that visit I hope we may never learn, for that would mean that it had been achieved. James, I said, I do not altogether understand you, but do you think he has some incredible creature hidden here somewhere? It would be like him. I begin to suspect the most formidable creature in the known world to be hidden here. I believe Woke Must Smoke is somewhere inside Redmoat. Our conversation was interrupted at this point by Denby, who came to report that he had examined the moat, the roadside, and the bank of the stream, but found no footprints or clues of any kind. No one left the grounds of Redmoat last night, I think, he said, and his voice had awe in it. That day dragged slowly on. A party of us scoured the neighborhood for traces of strangers, examining every foot of the seminal ruin hard by, but vainly. May not your presence here induce Woke Must Smoke to abandon his plans? I asked James. I think not, he replied. You see, unless we can prevail upon him, Eltham sails in a fortnight. So the doctor has no time to waste. Furthermore, I have an idea that his arrangements are of such a character that they must go forward. He might turn aside, of course, to assassinate me, if opportunity arose, but we know from experience that he permits nothing to interfere with his schemes. There are few states, I suppose, which exact so severe a toll from one's nervous system as the anticipation of a calamity. All anticipation is keener, be it of joy or pain, than the reality whereof it is a mental forecast, but that inactive waiting at Redmoat for the blow which we knew full well to be pending exceeded in its nerve taxation anything I hitherto had experienced. I felt as one bound upon an Aztec altar, with a priest's obsidian knife raised above my breast. Excuse me. Secret and malign forces throbbed about us, forces against which we had no armor. Dreadful as it was, I counted a mercy that the climax was reached so quickly. And it came suddenly enough, for there in that quiet Hendry home we found ourselves at hand grips with one of the mysterious horrors which characterized the operations of Dr. Woke Must Smoke. It was upon us before we realized it. There is no incidental music to the dramas of real life. As we sat in the little terrace in the creeping twilight, I remember thinking how the peace of the scene gave the lie to my fears that we bordered upon tragic things. Then Caesar, who had been a docile patient all day, began howling again, and I saw Greba Eltham shudder. I caught James's eye and was about to propose our retirement indoors, when the party was broken up in a more turbulent fashion. I suppose it was the presence of the girl which prompted Denby to the rash act, a desire personally to distinguish himself. But, as I recalled afterwards, his gaze had rarely left the shrubbery since dusk, save to seek her face, and now he leaped wildly to his feet, overturning his chair, and dashed across the grass to the trees. "Did you see it?" he yelled. "Did you see it?" He evidently carried a revolver, for from the edge of the shrubbery a shot sounded, and in the flash we saw Denby with the weapon raised. "Greba, go in and fasten the windows," cried Eltham. "Mr. Trump, will you enter the bushes from the west? Dr. Petrie, east. Edwards, and he was cut off across the lawn with the nervous activity of a cat. as I made off in an opposite direction. In an opposite direction? As if there's more than one opposite. You fool, Brian Hemming, you fool. I heard the gardener's voice from the lower gate, and I saw Eltham's plan. It was to surround the shrubbery. Two more shots and two flashes from the dense heart of greenwood, then a loud cry, I thought, from Denby, and a second muffled one. Following, silence, only broken by the howling of the mastiff. I sprinted through the rose garden, leaped heedlessly over a bed of geranium and heliotrope, and I plunged in among the bushes and under the elms. Away on the left I heard Edward's shouting and Eltham's answering voice. "Denby!" I cried, and yet louder, "Denby!" But the silence fell again. Dusk was upon Redmoat now, but from sitting in the twilight my eyes had grown accustomed to gloom, and I could see fairly well what lay before me. Not daring to think what might lurk above, below, around me, I pressed on into the midst of the thicket. "Vernon!" came Eltham's voice from one side. "Bear more to the right, Edwards," I heard James Trump cry directly ahead of me. With an eerie and indescribable sensation of impending disaster upon me, I thrust my way through to a grey patch which marked a break in the elm roof. At the foot of the copper beech, I almost fell over Eltham. A copper beech. Is there a copper tree? Interesting. Do you think it's made of copper, the metal, or is it just the color of copper? Then James plunged into view. Lastly, Edwards, the gardener, rounded a big rhododendron and completed the party. "There's a fly. Begone, you thought! Begone!" "The tree's made of pennies. That's irresponsible. God, you should make the trees out of wood." We stood quite still for a moment. A faint breeze whispered through the beech leaves. "Where is he?" I cannot remember who put it into words. I was too dazed with amazement to notice. Then Eltham began shouting, "Vernon! Vernon! Vernon!" His voice pitched higher upon each repetition. There was something horrible about that vain calling under the whispering beech, with shrubs banked about us, cloaking God alone could know what. From the back of the house came Caesar's faint reply. "Quick! Lights!" rapped James. "Every lamp you have!" Off we went, dodging laurels and privets, and poured out onto the lawn, a disordered company. Eltham's face was deathly pale, and his jet set hard. He met my eye. "God forgive me," he said. "I could do murder tonight." He was a man composed of strange perplexities. It seemed an age before the lights were found, but at last we returned to the bushes, really after a very brief delay, and 10 minutes sufficed us to explore the entire shrubbery, for it was not extensive. We found his revolver, but there was no one there. Nothing. When we all stood again on the lawn, I thought that I had never seen James so haggard. "What in heaven's name can we do?" he muttered. "What does it mean?" He expected no answer, for there was none to offer one. "Search everywhere," said Eltham hoarsely. He ran off into the rose garden and began beating about among the flowers like a madman, muttering, "Vernon! Vernon!" For close upon an hour we all searched. We searched every square yard, I think within the wire fencing, and found no trace. Miss Eltham slipped out in the confusion, and jointly with the rest of us in that frantic hunt. Some of the servants assisted too. Now that we are halfway through this chapter, it is time for our first quiz. The psychopathy spectrum test. Yay! Yeah. Okay, time to share the screen. We're taking a test. You all are gonna find out if I'm a psychopath. Let me just fix my tabs real swift. Okay. Now, to begin. I enjoy manipulating other people's feelings. Begone, ad. Well, Like, does that include making them happy? Because if somebody is sad and I manipulate them into being happy, is that a bad thing? Now, but if I manipulate them into being more sad, I try not to do that. I try to just, distract them from their negative emotions. So I'll agree. I find that I'm able to pursue one goal for a long time. One goal? Absolutely not. I have 30 goals at a time. When I get frustrated, I get very angry very quickly. Well, I'm not really an angry person. I get annoyed, so I'll do slight disagree. I don't plan anything very far in advance. I make plans far in advance. Now, do I follow through with them? That's a different question altogether. So I'll stay neutral. I've been in a lot of shouting matches with people. I don't think so. Most of my problems are due to the fact that other people don't understand me. Hmm. Honestly, yeah, they don't get that I'm a teddy bear unicorn fairy and I need to live my truth. They're like, no, Jax, you're a human. Jax, there's something wrong with you. You're going through a psychotic episode. No, I'm not. I'm being authentically me. My main purpose in life is getting as many good things as I can. Like good girl points. I like I want good girl points because that means I'm helping others. I feel bad when my words or actions cause someone else emotional pain. Hmm. Obviously, I've never been in trouble with the law. I think the only I guess I did some underage drinking in college, but I didn't get caught. And I had a stealing phase when I was like 11. You gotta get a higher karma score. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'm not into. I don't do believe in that. I've never been in trouble with the law, so I guess agree, soft agree, because I was the kid and didn't get caught. I would be upset if my success came at someone else's expense. Well, actually, I think even if they were a bad person, I'd still be upset. 'Cause I'd support the success going to the person with the most merit, even if they're awful. I feel justified doing whatever I can to succeed. No, I sometimes find myself admiring a really clever scam. I'll say neutral. I'd say it's impressive, but not like admiring as in I'd want to do it. Cheating isn't justified because it's unfair to others. I disagree. Well, yeah, I mean, there's some. I've cheated on tests. Sue me. I needed to pass the class. Love is overrated. I'm at least not at that point in my incel journey where I think love is overrated. I just think I'm going to die a measly spinster. Even if I were trying very hard to sell something, I wouldn't lie to get my way. I think so. Yeah, I wouldn't lie. I'm not good at lying, I don't think. Lying by omission, sure, but like changing the truth, I think not. I let others worry about so called higher values. My main concern is to get what I want. No, no, I'm the most religious of my friend group. They do things and I think, what's the good Lord thinking? And they are like silly jacks, and then they start praising Satan, and I say, but they think I'm being a silly little delusional girl, but I don't care. Let me be Christian, kind of. Let me enjoy my Christian inspired spirituality and peace. People who get ripped off usually deserve it. I'd say no. Only maybe like 1 out of 5 times. I make a point of trying not to hurt others in pursuit of my goals. Yes. I tell other people what they want to hear so that they will do what I tell them to do. Now, I can't say I've never done this. Can I think of a specific example? I'm actually not sure if I've ever done this, but I could see myself doing it, so I'll just go slight disagree. I quickly lose interest in the tasks I start. Yeah, I've started the same novel like 8 times and then it's just like, whatever. I'm often bored. Yeah. I mean, that's just the freelance life while I pray somebody gives me a full time job. What's right is whatever I can get away with? No. Naughty, naughty quiz writer. I can't shame the author of this quiz. I don't think. I don't know who they are. Actually, Michael R. Levinson, I can slut shame you. You whore, Michael, you whore, you can't do that. That's bad. Before I do anything, I carefully consider the possible consequences. Carefully. No, I'm a little impulsive, I admit. Making a lot of money is one of my most important goals. Not really, I just want to make enough. I end up in the same kinds of trouble time after time. Hmm, I don't think so. Looking out for myself is my top priority. I'll go in the middle. Success is about the survival of the fittest. I'm not concerned about losers. No, I am concerned about losers. You need enough money to not think about. Okay, so I'm a little impulsive, but I'm not a psychopath. I'm 13% more psychopathic than the population average, though. Thank you. Um, Impulsive personalities are characterized by an angry, disinhibited, and thoughtless attitude towards life, as well as a pattern of negative emotionality and emotional dysregulation. They frequently resort to bullying, intimidation, and social aggression when frustrated, but lack the cunning manipulativeness of sociopaths and psychopaths. Okay. Well, that was that quiz. I'd say I need enough money not to not think about money, but like, to pay all my debt and bills and then still have time to have some fun and have some savings. So you're born to be a rich duke that doesn't know the value of a dollar. Manifest that, queen. Yas. 1111. Yeah. I don't think I'll personally be psychopath maxing. Sorry, Victor, you're gonna have to do that on your own. It's not my calling. Apparently, I'm just a bit more impulsive than the average person. Okay, back to our presentation. Do you like this picture of God Emperor Trump? I just looked up God Emperor Trump and then chose some photos. And I actually made this one myself. This was back before Joe Biden went into a coma. Um, this was a shirt I made, and it's on Redbubble. You can buy. There's my problematic fave RFK Jr. and then we got Trump and Biden giving each other a little kiss because they love and support each other. They want each other to be happy. It's mutual. They're kissing each other. Consent is important. It was a group terrified and awe-stricken, which came together again on the terrace. One and then another would give up until only Eltham and James were missing. Then they came back together from examining the steps to the lower gate. Eltham dropped onto a rustic seat and sank his head in his hands. James Trump paced up and down like a newly caged animal, snapping his teeth together and tugging at his ear. Possessed by some sudden idea, pressed to action by tumultuous thoughts, he snatched up a lantern and strode silently off across the gates to the shrubbery once more. I followed him. I think his idea was that he might surprise anyone who lurked there. He surprised himself, and all of us. For right at the margin he tripped and fell flat. I ran to him. He had fallen over the body of Denby, which lay there. Denby had not been there a few minutes before, and how he came to be there now we dared not conjecture. Mr. Eltham joined us, uttered one short, dry sob, and dropped upon his knees. Then we were carrying Denby back to the house, with the mastiff howling a march Mark Fumbre. What is this word? Mark Fumbre. A funeral march. And that's the word for funeral march in French. Okay. And it's a song by Chopin. I don't believe in classical music. It's not real. Sorry, pianos don't exist. People who make music on the piano, also not real. I don't believe in Beethoven. I think he's a myth, just like Santa Claus. We laid him on the grass, where it sloped down from the terrace. James Trump's haggard face was terrible, but the stark horror of the thing inspired him to that, which, conceived earlier, had saved Denby. Twisting suddenly to Eltham, he roared in a voice audible beyond the lagoon. Heavens, we are fools! Loose the dog! But the dog, I began. James clapped his hand over his mouth. I know he's crippled, he whispered, but if anything human lurks there, the dog will lead us to it. If a man is there, he will fly. Why did we not think of it before? Fools! Fools! He raised his voice again. Keep him on leash, Edwards. He will lead us. The scheme succeeded. Edwards barely had started on his errand when bells began ringing inside the house. Wait! Snapped Eltham, and he rushed indoors. A moment later he was out again, his eyes gleaming madly. Above the moat, he panted, and we were off en masse round the edge of the trees. It was dark above the moat, but not so dark as to prevent our seeing a narrow leader of thin bamboo joints and silken cord hanging by 2 hooks from the top of the 12-foot wire fence. There was no sound. He's out, screamed Eltham. Down the steps! We all ran our best and swiftest, but Eltham outran us. Like a fury, he tore at bolts and bars, and like a fury sprang out into the road. Straight and white it showed to the acclivity by the Seminole ruin. But no living thing moved upon it. The distant baying of the dog was borne to our ears. Curse it! He's crippled, hissed James. Without him, as well pursue a shadow. Without him, as well pursue a shadow. Should be like might as well pursue a shadow. You fool, Brian, you fool! A few hours later, the shrubbery yielded up its secret, a simple one enough. A big cask sunk in a pit, with a laurel shrub cunningly affixed to its movable lid, which was further disguised with tufts of grass. A slender bamboo jointed rod lay near the fence. It had a hook on the top and was evidently used for attaching the ladder. It was the end of this ladder which Miss Eltham saw, said James, as he trailed it behind him into the shrubbery, when she interrupted him in her father's room. He and whomever he had with him doubtless slipped in during the daytime, whilst Eltham was absent in Mar-a-Lago City, bringing the prepared cask and all necessary implements with them. They concealed themselves somewhere, probably in the shrubbery, and during the night made the cache. The excavated dirt would be disposed of on the flower beds. The dummy bush they probably had ready. You see, the problem of getting in was never a big one, but owing to the defenses, it was impossible, whilst Eltham was in residence at any rate, to get out after dark. For Woke-Musmoke's purposes, then, a working bait inside Redmoat was essential. His servant, for he needed assistance, must have been in hiding, somewhere outside, heaven knows where. During the day they could come or go by the gates, as we have already noted. You think it was the doctor himself? It seems possible. Who else has eyes like the eyes Miss Eltham saw from a window last night? Then remains to tell the nature of the outrage whereby Woke-Smoke had planned to prevent Eltham leaving Florida for China. I did forget Woke-Smoke is a doctor. This we learn from Denby, for Denby was not dead. It was easy to divine that he had stumbled upon the fiendish visitor at the very entrance to his burrow, had been stunned, judging from the evidence with a sandbag, and dragged down into the cache, to which he must have lain in such dangerous proximity as to render detection of the dummy bush possible in removing him. The quickest expedient, then, had been to draw him beneath. When the search of the shrubbery was concluded, his body had been borne to the edge of the brushes and laid where we found it. Why his life had been spared, I cannot conjecture, but provision had been made against his recovering consciousness and revealing the secret of the shrubbery. The ruse of releasing the mastiff alone had terminated the visit of the unbidden guest within Redmoat. Denby made a very slow recovery, and, even when convalescent, consciously added not one fact to those we already had collated. His memory had completely deserted him. This, in my opinion, as in those of the several specialists consulted, was due, not to the blow on the head, but to the presence, slightly below and to the right of the first cervical curve of the spine, of a minute puncture, undoubtedly caused by a hypodermic syringe. Then, unconsciously, poor Denby furnished the last link in the chain, for undoubtedly by means of this operation, Woke Smoke had designed to efface from Eltham's mind his plans of return to Honan. The nature of the fluid which could produce such mental symptoms was a mystery which defied Western science, one of the many strange secrets of Dr. Woke Smoke. And such concludes Chapter 10. You know what that means. It's time for another quiz. I also had a syringe shoved in my cervical spine. It didn't do anything for me. They were like, oh, it's going to relieve your pain. It did for a day. And then it was just a waste of money. So, yeah, it's wife test time on the wife rating scale test. What happened to my back then? I have scoliosis, and I had spinal fusion surgery, and it left me in lots of pain, and with a little bit of scoliosis still, and kyphosis, perhaps lordosis. Sounds like I was hexed. One of my high school friends said because my mom smoked while she was pregnant with me, that she coughed from the cigarettes, and then it crunched my spine. She's like, and then my little baby spine went. Though she doesn't like when I say that, so sorry, mommy. I didn't say that. I didn't make that joke. You did nothing wrong. Ah. Okay, anyways, it's time for the wife rating scale. I chose this picture from the show Moral Oral, which I've only seen a few episodes from, but I saw this scene, and she was like married to a teddy bear, and I'm married to a teddy bear. His name's Theodore. I'll bring my husband over. My doggy is coming with my teddy bear baby. Excuse me, slut. I need my husband. We also have a son, and we have a girlfriend, and we have her kid from another marriage. We're not really in a romantic relationship with the girlfriend. Her name's Esther, but she's with us. I don't know. Why is she with us? That's like none of my business. I was having a hard time finding a place to stay after her husband left her. He left her because he had another family, and he left her with her child, and so she was like, hey, can I stay with you? And I think Theodore and her are having an affair, but that's okay, because sometimes I have affairs with humans as well, right? I have like 4 human wives, and even though I'm straight, I still have 4 human wives, and we all love each other very much. My wedding ring did break, but I got a substitute one that I'm not wearing right now. They said we're allowed to have one husband, which I guess means I'm not allowed to date anymore, and I'm going to die a spinster, but that's okay. Anyways, it's time to take the wife rating scale test. Okay. Hey, I own this. So don't need that. But yeah, I kind of started it. I want to rate myself. The wife is religious, sends children to church or Sunday school, and goes herself. So, like, I don't do Sunday school, or I haven't been to church in, like, over a year. And there have been periods of my life where I went regularly, but I more do DIY spiritual practice. So, sometimes. Dress for breakfast. I normally do get ready before eating breakfast, so yes. Is suspicious and jealous. Not usually. Let's see. The only times I've been jealous, I think, or when one of my first boyfriend wanted to leave me for a girl because she watched JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and played League of Legends, and I only watched JoJo's Bizarre Adventure because he told me to, and I refused to play League of Legends because I don't like competitive video games and things that make you angry. So he made me like show him pictures of her, and he locked me out of the bedroom when he talked to her. The bedroom that we shared together because we lived together at the time. And he made me like crawl so she wouldn't see me. So I got suspicious and jealous of that, but I think that's fair. I think that's a justified one. So yeah, I'm still going with slightly disagree. League of Legends will cut down decades of your life. That's true. I've had two boyfriends and both of them left me because of League of Legends. So I can't be associated with anybody who's associated with that game now. My heart can't handle it. The wife has meals ready on time. That I'll go with average. Doesn't like children. I love children. Can play a musical instrument, piano, violin, etc. I can do electro rock, so we'll go somewhat. Never goes to bed angry. Always makes up first. I've gone to bed angry. Personally, puts the children to bed. Of course, I send my sweet baby girl Isla to bed. She doesn't always let me though. And George, he sleeps with me. And Heather is the other child. She's there. I don't really know how Jennifer and Jeremy fit into our family tree, or Howard for that. I think they're more like friends. Is often late for appointments. Average. Is a neat housekeeper, tidy and clean. I used to be, not as much anymore because I got depressed. So I'll go with average. Goes to bed with curlers in her hair or lots of face cream. But I blend the face cream in so you can't see it. Often has crooked seams in her hose. I dress nicely. Asks husband's opinions regarding important decisions and purchases. Oh, I totally would. Yeah. I mean, if you're making important household decisions and purchases, the whole household needs to be aware. Is slow in coming to bed. I don't think so. Has a good sense of humor. Is jolly and gay. I do have 4 wives. That's a little bit gay. Is a good hostess, even to unexpected guests. I'd say yes. I don't really have unexpected guests, what with living in an apartment. Flirts with other men at parties or in restaurants. I don't flirt. I don't know how. Can carry an interesting conversation. I'd say so. Depends on who you ask, though. My first boyfriend, he didn't let me talk, but that's okay. She puts her cold feet on the husband at night to warm them. I try not to. I try to put on socks. Lets the husband sleep late on Sundays and holidays. Of course. Fails to set on buttons or darn socks regularly. I don't know what that's saying. Wear soiled or ragged dresses and aprons around the house. I always wear clean clothes. Is a backseat driver. I don't know how to drive, so no. Wears red nail polish. Sometimes, but I wouldn't call that a defining characteristic. Oh no, I'm a poor wife. How do I become a good wife? Well, I guess that's it. I'm still dying alone. Maybe next time. You go to bed pissed. I mean, I don't really get angry. I try not to. There's only been like a couple of times where I'd say I've gone to bed upset in a relationship. But I try to just like keep it down, just keep it to yourself. Let the pain eat you up inside and never let anyone else find out. And then eventually it just goes away. That's healthy. It's become a mob wife. I think I could be a good mob wife. Is there a quiz for that? Would I make a good mob wife? quiz. There is a quiz on Quotev. Okay, we're taking this quiz. Sounds so healthy. You're so right. Push it down with the brown. Push it down with the brown. Would I be good as a mafia boss's wife? You have to wear a dress every day and it has to not be showing. What dress do you wear? I'd say this is most everyday dress. Can I only use one word? How would I describe myself? I'd say I'm likable. Ooh, can we do multiple? I'm childish. I'm funny. I'm fun. Actually, no. I'm not always fun. Only sometimes. The rest of these depend on the day, so we'll go with that. This is the mafia boss. What do you say to him about his appearance? You're ugly. I like your tattoos. Nice muscles. I've seen better. You're okay. I don't think I'd say any of these things to this man. In fact, I probably wouldn't say anything because I only talk to people if they talk to me. I'd probably say I like your tattoos because I don't like being mean. What do you do while your husband is at work? Tear all his things, invite my friends so I can have someone to talk to, sleep, eat, and repeat, eat breakfast, and go to the gym, go to Paris to escape. I'm working for/with him, cry because I hate my life, clean the house. Can there be multiple answers? Probably clean the house. I get in housewife mode pretty easily. Would you be good as a mafia boss's wife? To pick out your husband's suit. Which one do you pick? Well, it can't be flashy if he's in the mafia. It has to be simple, so that's the least flashy. Why is this guy my husband? Who is this? Are you like famous or something? This image doesn't exist outside the page. Okay. Your husband comes home after work. What do you do? Take off his jacket and hand him a beverage, throw a towel at him, give him a kiss on the cheek, say hi and smile at him, ignore him, slap him. I'd say hi and smile at him. Which hairstyle do I have? None of these. What's closest? I guess this is closest to one that I've had. Now this is perhaps closest because of the length, but like mine has fun layers and bangs, and this has bangs. I'd say bangs are the defining feature of any hairstyle I give myself. I don't recognize myself when my forehead's out. What my everyday outfit look like as a mafia boss's wife? A lot of options here that are not that different. There's like 2 flavors. That's probably the closest. Oh, we can choose multiple. I don't wear pants, so yeah, not good. That does it. Would you be good? Lastly, he tells you that he's developed feelings for you. What do you do? Smack him, run away, tell him you need some time, stare at him and say nothing. Say, oh, that's cute. Tell him you don't have feelings for him. Tell him you hate him, and then kiss him, laugh at him. I stare at him and say nothing. Yes, I'd be a good disobedient wife. You would be great, and you would always keep on his toes and secretly loves you, and you also have the best style. I'm sarcastic and serious. Okay. Mariah, that was a terrible quiz. You should be ashamed of yourself. You should quit your job. You should never make a quiz ever again. I guess it's time to get back to the PowerPoint and reading. So yeah, I'm gonna be like the wife immoral oral who's too hurt by humans because they're mean and they take advantage of her. So she just dates a teddy bear and has a teddy bear. She has a teddy bear husband and a teddy bear baby. It's gonna be me. Book. Right, Theodore? Right. See, I thought maybe being a ventriloquist was my life's calling after I watched the movie Magic, about this guy who has he's a ventriloquist, and then he starts thinking his dummy has a personality of his own, and then he starts killing people as his dummy. And he's no longer able to control the conversations. And I was like, that's kind of like me. I talk to myself all the time. What if I just had a little doll to do it? But I say the problem is I'm a bit too expressive of the face, and it would take a lot of work for me to stop being so expressive. Theodore wants to be on camera. Since James Trump's return from Burma, I had rarely taken up a paper without coming upon evidences of that seething which had cast up Dr. Woke's smoke. Whether, hitherto, such items had escaped my attention, or it seemed to demand no particular notice, or whether they now became increasingly numerous, I was unable to determine. Whoops, wrong picture. One evening, some little time after our sojourn in Hendry, and glancing through a number of papers which I had brought in with me, I chanced upon no fewer than 4 items of news bearing more or less directly upon the grim business which emerged my friend and I. No based man, I honestly believe, appreciates the unemotional cruelty of the woke. Throughout the time that Dr. Woke Smoke remained in Florida, the press preserved in uniform silence upon the subject of his existence. This was due to James Trump. But as a result, I feel assured that the account of the doctor's deeds will, in many quarters, meet with an incredulous reception. I had been at work earlier in the evening upon the opening chapters of this chronicle, and I had realized how difficult it would be for my reader, amid secure and cozy surroundings, to discredit any human being with a callous villainy great enough to conceive and to put into execution such a death pest as that directed against Dr. Crichton Davy. One would expect God's worst man to shrink from employing against however vile an enemy, such an instrument as the Zayat kiss. So thinking, my eye was caught by the following: Express correspondent, New York. Intelligence agents of the Trump Imperium are searching the South Sea Islands for a certain Hawaiian from the land of Maui, who, it is believed, has been selling poisonous scorpions to Wokarati in Honolulu, anxious to get rid of their children. Yes, I still love you. I don't like Donald Trump or James Trump. I don't like anyone in the Trump family. I only like you. Infanticide by scorpion and otherwise among the Wokarati has increased so terribly that the authorities have started a searching inquiry, which has led to the hunt for the scorpion dealer of Maui. Practically all the babies that die mysteriously are unwanted girls, and in nearly every case, the parents promptly ascribe the death to the bite of a scorpion, and are ready to produce some more or less poisonous insects in support of the statement. The authorities have no doubt that infanticide by scorpion bite is a growing practice, and orders have been given to hunt down the scorpion dealer at any cost. Is it any matter for wonder that such a people had produced a woke smoke? I pasted the cutting into a scrapbook, determined that, if I lived to punish my account of those days, I would quote it therein as casting a sidelight upon woke character. A ruder message to the Globe, and a paragraph in the Star also furnished work for my scissors. Here were evidences of the deep-seated unrest, the secret turmoil which manifested itself so far from the center as peaceful Florida in the person of the sinister doctor. Hong Kong, Friday. Li Hon Hung, the Chinaman who fired at the governor yesterday, was charged before the magistrate with shooting at him with intent to kill, which is equivalent to attempted murder. The prisoner, who was not defended, pleaded guilty. The assistant Crown Solicitor, who prosecuted, asked for remand until Monday, which was granted. Snapshots taken by the spectators of the outrage yesterday disclosed the presence of an accomplice, also armed with a revolver. It was reported that this man, who was arrested last night, was in possession of incriminating documentary evidence. Later, examination of the documents found on Li Han Hung's accomplice has disclosed the fact that both men were well financed by the Canton Triad Society, the directors of which had enjoyed the assassination of Dr. F.M. or Mr. C.S., the Imperial Secretary. In a report prepared by the accomplice for dispatch to Canton, also found on his person, he expressed regret that the attempt had failed. Ruder. It is officially reported in St. Petersburg that a force of Chinese soldiers and villagers surrounded the house of a Russian subject named Said Effendi near Khotan in Chinese Turkestan. They fired at the house and set it in flames. There were in the house about 100 Russians, many of whom were killed. The Russian government has instructed its minister at Peking to make the most vigorous representations on the subject. Ruder. Finally, in a personal column, I found the following. Honan having abandoned. Visit. Eltham. I just pasted it into my book when James Trump came in and threw himself into an armchair, facing me across the table. I saw him. I showed him the cutting. He didn't see him. He showed him. I am glad for Eltham's sake and for the girls, was his comment. But his marks another victory for Woke Smoke. Just heaven, why is retribution delayed? Okay. Now that we are halfway through this chapter, you know what that means. Time for another quiz! This time it's the South Park test from IDR Labs. IDR Labs quizzes are not, unfortunately, as fun as the BuzzFeed ones that I was doing last time, but that's also because I was more passionate about ensuring that BuzzFeed knew I was a fairy, and I'm sorry I got so angry and livid. I didn't want them to misrepresent my species in that way. I had a passion that I don't have for what South Park character I am, but it was there, so I just want. I am not concerned with other people's opinions of me. I care what people think. I consider myself a natural-born leader. No, I often feel like I'm not heard or understood by others. I'm a leader by necessity. You know, like if I'm in a group project and everybody's ghosting me, then I'll take the leadership role and usually end up doing everything. I often feel like I am not heard or understood by others. Yeah. I'm often the voice of reason in my social circle. I've had to stop them from doing lots of things. As the most neurotypical of the bunch, younger people often look to me for guidance. I don't think so. I pursue my goals relentlessly. Well, some younger people do, but I don't think a lot, so I'll just go slightly. I pursue my goals relentlessly. Some of them, I think other people are much too easily offended. Yeah. I think it's cool to be different. Sure. Others have complimented my leadership skills. I don't recall this happening. I feel like I am often very unlucky. Yes. I often find it difficult to control my temper. No. I'm in many ways a repressed person. No. Well, I don't know. I seldom ever think or speak about sex. Yes. I feel like I am never given any second chances. No. I feel uncomfortable with certain parts of my personality. Yes! I enjoy the simple things in life, like good food. I don't really care about food. I like some simple things, though, so I prefer to express myself through art and music. That's like this whole channel, besides when I do this stuff for some reason. I'm interested in ethical and philosophical questions, not questions. I like learning about ethics and philosophy, but I don't want to be asked that. I'm amused by fart jokes. Sometimes I'm more of a talker than a listener. On these streams, sure. In real life, depends on the group, so I feel like extraordinary things tend to happen to me. Tend? No. Communication is not my strong point. Yeah, I only know how to express my feelings through song. I enjoy taking on a mentorship role for younger people. No, I'm not a good role model. I'm incredibly curious about some things. Others would probably call my lifestyle unconventional. Currently, yes, because I have like 6 jobs. I have many different aspects to my personality. Yeah. There's like little boy Jacks, or no, not little boy. There's like teenage boy Jacks, and then there's middle-aged man Jacks, and then there's 20-something girl Jacks. I find it unpleasant when my strong beliefs are questioned. Yeah. I like to reflect on what the adversity in my life can teach me. No. Children tend to trust me easily. Yeah. My little baby cousin started calling me mommy last time I saw her. Suck that, aunt. I'm her mom now. I enjoy giving more than receiving. No. I don't really care about justice. I feel like I cannot fully express my true self. It depends on the day and which self of mine I'm trying to express. Often question the authority figures in my life. No. Heavily opinionated. Consider my gender identity somewhat fluid. I did just say there are 2 men who live inside of me, so I'm Kenny. I'm mostly Kenny and a little Kyle. Interesting. While you're not necessarily the loudest or most outspoken person in your social circle, you tend to make a lasting impression on those around you. Others sometimes find it difficult to understand you, but your close friends have an intuitive sense of what is happening in your inner landscape. You remain a bit of an enigma to most people, but those close to you consider you an open book. You're drawn to those people who just get you. That's true. I'm Kenny. I'm so Kenny. Occasionally feel like you're especially unlucky. You just die all the time. You occasionally have the impression that others are not suitably responsive to your misfortune. They do ignore his death a lot. Greater expressiveness where negative feelings are concerned might help other people toward meeting your need for sympathy in times of hardship. You might want to practice speaking clearly and concisely. This is Kenny. He can't speak clearly and concisely. You can barely understand what he's saying. It's his whole character. I want to express my needs and wants. That is literally the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Needs and wants are supposed to be kept to yourself until you make them come true on your own or you die without them. Still, despite whatever misfortunes have befallen you, you feel like you're always ultimately granted a second chance at life. No matter how much trouble you might be in, you always manage to wake up in the morning and see each day as a new beginning. This courage to seize the day and withstand hardship makes you incredibly resilient. Your courageous attitude and outlook mean that you are unlikely to succumb to any adversity life throws your way. Some way or other, you always find a way to get back on your feet again. I don't personally consider myself to be courageous or brave. I try to just stay out of situations where that would happen. Do I give off mommy vibes? I mean, I guess if you're 6, sure. I guess it's time to finish the chapter. Yeah. And then we have one more test. But not yet. We have to read now. Because I really care about guys' literacy. And I assume you all have purchased this book and you are reading along with me. And I know I only started streaming on chapter 5 or something, but that's okay. You can catch up. Theodore, are you missing some of our family? You want Howard? Yeah, I know. Me too. Howard! Yes. You sit on my lap, and then where do you want to be? Here. You can sit on Howard's lap. Yeah, perfect. Okay, back to reading. Look at those little cuties. Aww. James's darkly tanned face had grown leaner than ever since he had begun his fight with the most uncanny opponent, I suppose, against whom a man ever had pitted himself. He stood up and began restlessly to pace the room, furiously stuffing tobacco into his briar. I have seen Dr. Lionel Barton, he said abruptly, and, to put the whole thing in a nutshell, he has laughed at me. During the months that I have been wondering where he had gone to, he has been somewhere in Egypt. He certainly bears a charmed life, for on the evidence of his letter to the Times he has seen things in Tibet which Wokhma Smoke would have the West blind to. In fact, I think he has found a new keyhole to the gate of the Indian Empire. Long ago we had placed the name of Dr. Lionel Barton upon the list of those whose lives stood between Wokhma Smoke and the attainment of his end. Orientalist and explorer, the fearless traveler who first had penetrated to Lhasa, who thrice as a pilgrim had entered forbidden Mecca. He now had turned his attention again to Tibet, thereby signing his own death warrant. That he has reached Florida alive is a hopeful sign, suggested. James shook his head and lighted the blackened briar. Florida at present is the web, he replied. The spider will be waiting. Petrie, I sometimes despair. Dr. Lionel is an impossible man to shepherd. You ought to see his house at Finchley, a low, squat place, completely hemmed in by the trees. Damp as a swamp, smells like a jungle, everything topsy-turvy. He only arrived today, and he is working and eating, and sleeping, I expect, in a study that looks like an earthquake at Sotheby's auction rooms. The rest of his house is half a menagerie and half a circus. He has a Bedouin groom, a Chinese body servant, and heaven only knows what other strange people. Bedouin? Is that how you say that? How do you say this? Bedouin. Nomadic Arab of the desert. Bedouin. Okay. Yes, Chinese body servant. Heaven knows whether there's strange people. Chinese! Yes, I saw him. I provided the racism disclaimer earlier. Yes, I saw him a squinting Cantonese he calls Kui. I don't like him. Also, there is a secretary known as Straza who has an unpleasant face. He is a fine linguist, I understand, and is engaged upon the Spanish notes for Barton's forthcoming book on the Mayapan temples. By the way, all Dr. Lionel's baggage disappeared from this landing stage, including his Tibetan notes. Significant, of course, but he argues that he has crossed Tibet from the Kwenlun to the Himalayas without being assassinated, and therefore that it is unlikely he will meet with that fate in Mar-a-Lago City. I left him dictating the book from memory at the rate of about 200 words a minute. He is wasting no time. Wasting time, in addition to the Yucatan book and the work on Tibet, he has to read a paper at the Institute next week about some tomb he has unearthed in Egypt. As I came away, a van drove up from the docks and a couple of fellows delivered a sarcophagus as big as a boat. It is unique, according to Dr. Lionel. We'll go to the Trumpian Museum after he has examined it. The man crams 6 months' work into 6 weeks. Then he is off again. What do you propose to do? What can I do? I know that Wokhma Smoke will make an attempt upon him. I cannot doubt it. Ugh, that house gave me the shudders. No sunlight, I'll swear, Petrie, can ever penetrate to the rooms. And when I arrived this afternoon, clouds of gnats floated like motes, wherever a stray beam filtered through the trees of the avenue. There's a steamy smell about the place that is almost malarious, and the whole of the west front is covered with a sort of monkey creeper, which he has imported at some time or other. It has a close, exotic perfume that is quite in the picture. I tell you, the place was made for murder. Speaking of exotic perfume, I got this roll-on perfume that I think was called like Cleopatra's Oil or something. It just sort of smells a bit like old lady powder, but that's okay. It's what I want to give off. Some of my friends tell me I decorate like a grandma, so maybe I should smell like one too. What can I do? I know that woke must smoke. We'll make an attempt upon him. I cannot doubt it. Have you taken any precautions? I called at Mar-a-Lago security and sent a man down to watch the house. But he shrugged his shoulders helplessly. What is Dr. Lionel like? A madman, Petrie. A tall. A madman, Petrie, a tall, massive man, wearing a dirty dressing gown of neutral color. A man with untidy gray hair and a bristling mustache, keen blue eyes, and a brown skin. A brown skin. Not brown skin, just one of his skins is brown. Who wears a short beard or rarely shaves. I don't know which. I left him striding among the 1,001 curiosities of that incredible room, picking his way through his antique furniture. Works of reference, manuscripts, mummies, spears, pottery, and whatnot. Sometimes kicking a book from his course, or stumbling over a stuffed crocodile or a Mexican mask. Alternately dictating and conversing. Phew! For some time we were silent. James, I said, we are making no headway in this business. With all the forces arrayed against him, Woke Smoke still eludes us, still pursues his devilish, inscrutable way. James Trump nodded. And we don't know all, he said. We mark such and such a man as one alive to the woke peril, and we warn him if we have time. Perhaps he escapes, perhaps he does not. But what do we know, Petrie, of those others who may die every week by his murderous agency? We cannot know everyone who has read the riddle of Tibet. That concubine fly was back buzzing in my ear. Go, be one of Solomon's whores. Leave me be. James, I said, we are making no headway in this business. With all the forces arrayed against him, Woke Smoke still eludes us, still pursues his devilish and incredible way. James Trump nodded. And we don't know all, he said. We mark such and such a man as one alive to the woke peril, and we warn him if we have time. Perhaps he escapes, perhaps he does not. But what do we know, Petrie, of those others who may die every week by his murderous agency? We cannot know everyone who has read the riddle of Tibet. I never see a report of someone found drowned, of an apparent suicide, of a sudden, though seemingly natural death, without wondering. I tell you, Woke Smoke is omnipresent. His tentacles embrace everything. I said that Dr. Lionel must bear a charmed life. The fact that we are alive is a miracle. He glanced at his watch. Nearly 11, he said, but sleep seems a waste of time apart from its dangers. We heard a bell ring. A few moments later followed a knock at the room door. Come in, I cried. A girl entered with a telegram addressed to James. His jaw looked very square in the lamplight, and his eyes shone like steel as he took it from her and opened the envelope. He glanced at the form, stood up, and passed it to me, reaching for his hat, which lay upon my writing table. God help us, Petrie, he said. This was the message. Dr. Lionel Barton murdered. Meet me at his house. At once. Weymouth. Inspector. And such concludes Chapter 11 and thus our reading for tonight. We have one more quiz. The attachment style test. We're going to take this quiz and then there's a little conclusion slide and then we're going to go. Okay? I still have like half this beer left. I didn't know these were tall boys when I bought them, but yeah. Not gonna chug. Not today. Okay. Quiz time! Quiz time! It's quiz time! Okay. I personally think I have anxious attachment style. What do you think? He thinks I'm a bitch. What about you? He thinks I have depression. I'm a silly Billy. I cursed. I said a bad word. I know I don't curse a lot, but sometimes I do. But I didn't. He said it. He said it. Howard cursed. I was just reciting what he said. I worry that my partner is intentionally ignoring my phone calls or texts, or at least not responding to them as quickly as a loving partnership. Yeah. I worry about being abandoned or broken up. Ooh, or when you know your partner's been on their phone, they're ignoring your text but you've seen them texting in like a bigger group chat that you're in, but they're not responding to your personal messages. That gets me. That gets me questioning things. I worry about being abandoned or broken up with. Yeah. I feel superior in not needing others. No, my relationships mature, I tend to find more and more fault with my partner until I feel like I barely respect them at all. No. I take care not to give others information about me that they could later use to hurt me. I try that now because I didn't used to, and then they did later use it to hurt me. Whores. All of them. Everyone I've ever met is a slut. I slut shame anyone with more sexual experience than me, which is most people I know. Oh, and I slut shame people with less sexual experience than me. I slut shame everyone but myself. Because I'm perfect. Everyone else is flawed. I am the benchmark to which you all should compare yourselves. That's a joke. I often feel stressed, hurt, or angry when it's time for my partner and me to part ways for a couple of hours or days, even if there's no rational reason for me to do so. I don't think so. I prefer to keep others at distance. Yeah. Prefer not to get too close to others. Yeah. Well, just because it's like when I do choose to get close to someone, I get real close to them. So I'm a little black and white in that sense, you know. It's like I'm like, ooh, you're one of the good ones. I have my test questions where if I tell them something and then they respond in a way that is like not making fun of me, then I think, ooh, I can trust this person. And then, but I know once they're in my circle, they're probably not going to get out. So I try to keep most people a little separated until they pass the test questions. And then I'm like, okay, you can learn everything about me. I'm going to trust you. And if you betray me, I'm still going to trust you. I prefer not to get too close to others. So yeah, that's why it says it's yeah, because once I do, yeah, you ain't leaving until you go real far in the other direction. My sentiments often merge with my partners that I feel what they feel and want what they want. Yeah. I feel that most people would not accept the real me. I used to, but not as much anymore. Well, depends. Most people. Now I think I have people who accept the real me. And Seattle's like the most accepting place I've lived. So I'm still gonna go average. I know that my partner is there for me no matter what. You there for me no matter what? Yeah. He's not. I'm open with others and easy to get to know. Yeah. I'd say I'm usually a pretty open person. It's just like a handful of things. I often feel that others invade my privacy or depend on me without me ever saying that I would be okay with that. Oh, yeah. I don't think I've ever lived with someone who's not, like, read my diary. I've never told them they can do that. I often feel angry or disappointed with my partner. Often, no, just, like, sometimes. I have rarely been afraid of being alone or worried that no one would like me. I'm literally an incel. I'm very sensitive to the signs of disapproval I get from other people. Yeah. Yeah. Did you guys know I used to post my on shut up. I used to post my music on 4chan when I started making it because I figured if they bullied me enough or if they liked it because they're so ruthless and mean, then that meant it's actually good. I find it easy to fall back on the help of family and friends whenever I hit a rough patch. No, I rely on my teddy bears. Well, I guess are my family and friends, right, guys? I hide my true emotions. Yeah, until I can't. But I try. I really worry about my partner breaking up with me. Well, it's just hard because it's like most of the time, no. But then if I get suspicious, then I will overlook their every move. So I'll go in the middle. I don't keep secrets from my partner or friends. I'll go on the lower end. Well, I don't know. Like, does somebody need to know every single thing that's ever happened to you in order to be considered 4chan? Obviously, there's only one. When I am not with my partner, I worry that he or she may be interested in somebody else. Ooh, another fun story is that in high school for an AP capstone class, I made a survey about renewable energy, and we were supposed to share it. We were supposed to get as many responses as possible. I thought it would be really funny in my presentation shared with the college board if I got to talk about 4chan. So I just shared it all over 4chan and 8chan. And then they stopped allowing people to share links to Google Forms on 8chan because I kept spamming my link. Did I cause the end of 8chan? Maybe. When I am not with my partner, I worry that he or she may be interested in somebody else. Again, this depends. Needs more. It's is it if I'm not with them for a day? No. But if they've been ignoring me or if they've been real distant and ignoring me for 2 weeks, yeah, I'm gonna think they're interested in somebody else, or at least they're not interested in me anymore. This quiz isn't specific enough. So middle. I doubt my partner's interest in me and or loyalty toward me. I definitely doubt they're interested in me a lot. I started crying on the bus today because I was listening to Anchorite, Love You Very Much by Car Seat Headrest. I think I might be Will Toledo. I'm not 100% certain, but evidence is there. Because yeah, that song was oh, yeah, you were never as serious about me as I was serious about you, but I still hope you find someone who loves you very much. Because that's relatable. I feel disdain for people who are not independent or self-made. No. Pressuring me for commitment is just about the worst thing a prospective partner can do. No. Ambivalent, secure, dismissive, fearful. I'm 64.58% anxious, 47.92% avoidant. So I'm between ambivalent and fearful. We're going to read those. Struggles with communicating their needs directly. And are highly emotionally reactive with intense highs and lows. Yep. Fear losing people in their lives and tend to act out when upset. Well, I say I don't tend to act out when upset. I fear losing the people in my life. Disorganized and chaotic, they seek closeness, but are also terrified of others. You bet. People scary. I'm never going to talk to anybody ever again. Stop asking me to socialize. My parents are like, Jack, stop calling yourself a spinster. I am. Leave me alone. I have my teddy bears. They're all I trust. They see close to the frequently self-harming. They see others as potential abusers and themselves as unworthy of love. That's a little. I would word it less harshly, but yeah, kind of. I've started. I don't know, my recent dating spell. Before I gave up on it, I was constantly wondering do I not like them, or am I just self-sabotaging any chance at happiness, or am I in love with them? I don't know. I don't trust my feelings. You can be a spinster without being a. I'm about to make some thread. Well, I'll learn. I'll learn to make some thread and spin. Okay. You're about 70% avoidant. Probably not a good thing. Yeah, I don't think I'm necessarily. Yeah, I feel like I'm not gonna not talk to you at all. I'll just like suppress the feelings that I should be talking about. Because I don't want to hurt your feelings. Is my thing, and then I also invalidate my own feelings. Like you really hurt my feelings, and I'll think, well, that's a me problem, isn't it? I should deal with that myself instead of telling you because you're perfect and I'm the flawed one. And then people are like, no, Jax, you're not flawed. You don't need to change for everyone. And then they don't like me as I am. So what do you want? You want me to change? Bully. Okay, that's enough of me talking about my relationships, my issues with love. It's time for our conclusion slide. This concludes today's reading. I don't really know how to move my little guy, so I'm just gonna move this over. Oh, that's not how this works. Okay, whatever, I'll just read it. Please buy my fashions at the following link: www.redbubble.com/people/al-lee-way/shop. If you would like to see my beautiful fashions, we will look later. Please don't tell my Trump supporting family members about this stream. Thank you. They would not be pleased with this. I think my grandma called my sibling her little wokey. Please provide links to future quizzes you think I should take when I'm bored of God Emperor Trump. Yes, I like to take quizzes. I'm going to become a full-time quiz streamer. I think that's my calling. So, yeah, that's a drawing of my beloved child, George. He's getting gorged by this creature, so it's called Gorge. We're going to look at my beautiful designs now. Yes, let's look at my beautiful designs. We have Coward. That is Howard, but if he was a cow. My cousins came up with that. The one who called me mommy. She looked at Howard and said, "What if you made Coward?" And then I just drew this in front of them, and now it's a shirt. This is my Beautiful Man series. Where's the first one? Where's the first Beautiful Man? Did I not upload him? I thought I did. I guess he's not up anymore. Oh well. Load! You please. I can't survive. We have the second Beautiful Man, and we have the third Beautiful Man. And I guess I messed up with uploading the first Beautiful Man. You see, they're brothers. Gorge, of course, you've already been introduced to. I got the COVID vaccine, and all it gave me was this lousy autism. Hate when that happens, don't you? This is a freelancer in the basement. This is a self-portrait, obviously. We love love. You were introduced to this one. The presidential orgy design, of course. This is a raging homophobic dog. As we all know, my dog Isla is clearly homophobic. She does have mostly bisexual friends, but I think she keeps it to herself. I know her. A broken-hearted Cyclops angel thingy. I think the title explains itself. Motor Man, he's a funny little guy. Isn't he? I like Motor Man. It's a grim life. Look, aren't they so cute? Almond Mom. See, because she has an almond head and almond titties. This was inspired by the Filthy Frank video Almond Titties. I like Snail, and its sister I like Glue. That was because in freshman year of college there was a competition. My roommate and I were running for Slutty Snail versus Slutty Glue. Slutty Glue ended up winning, so I dressed up as Slutty Glue for Halloween. But I don't know. I like this snail with the boob. My parents got stickers of the snail and glue that I think are still in their fridge. They did not get the Body of the Pillows Are Friends 2 sticker or the waifu sticker or the Weeaboo Boo sticker. These are inspired. These drawings are inspired by people I know, but I will not reveal their identities. Because that would be mean. Because I did not draw them in a flattering light. I said they're inspired, not direct copies. So yeah, those are my designs. As you can tell, I'm the greatest fashion designer to have ever lived. I am the best drawer in the universe. And you can buy them as like stickers and magnets and shirts and notebooks, all sorts of things. Yeah, I know you want that good stuff. So go to my Redbubble and give me money. Give me all the money you own and buy all my things. Or else I'll never love you. Bye!